the button.
Nope.
Live stream. Setting up your meeting.
You're live. You can talk now.
I'm live.
We're live.
Hey.
We're live.
Guys,
Look, I see all the people out there. We're live.
We're good. Welcome to Paramotor Nation.
It's our Paramotor Nation now.
You are Paramotor Nation. Oh, great.
All right. Someone's got to hit their mute button.
1 second.
It's not me.
Hi, guys. Welcome to this show. We're still getting set up here. PPG Gorilla.
He's muted.
So, just in case anybody is wondering, Julie is having a problem with her microphone for some reason. When she speaks, it comes out with an English accent. I don't know.
Love the earrings. What's up, guys? Sorry for the mix-up there. Welcome to our Paramotor Nation. We're live tonight. We have special guests tonight. We have the guys from the Colorado River Adventure, pilots Jake Clark and Jean-Francois Chabad, along with their much-needed ground support, Julie and Shondor. So, guys, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Good. Glad.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Our panel tonight consists of myself, PPG Gorilla, David Wolf, Paramotor Crazy, and Nicole Phoenix, Phoenix in Flight. Dave Ruff will be joining us shortly. He's trying to get his hair fixed, and as soon as he does, he'll be joining us here. So
it could be a little bit of a time for that. I mean, that takes a little bit of time, but we're all set.
Yeah, that could be a while. So, David, you want to go ahead with our sponsors?
Oh my gosh, it would be my honor and my pleasure to. We've got sponsors. You've heard them before, and I want to. We're going to talk a little bit more and not spend too much time, but we're going to talk more about our sponsors and everything that they're doing. Let's start off with trying to get this thing going here too. Oh, here we are. We're over here. We're going to start off with I Fly Indiana. There we go, Kevin Kemble. And I got a message from Kevin earlier today. Last week, just want to make sure we clarify, Kevin's training $2,500, but he also wanted me to let everybody know for veterans, there's a 10% discount. So if you are looking to get trained, you're in the Indiana area, Kevin's a great place to go. Start off with Kevin Kimball at I Fly Indiana. Speaking of the vets, we had him on. We did a little live show last night, Dave and I, and Craig Taylor was on. Craig, of course, with Clearwater Pools. He's going to be heading down to Florida for a month here very shortly. He's very excited about that. He's just using his time and energy to support Resurgence PPG. So make sure you go ahead and donate. I know there's a couple people, myself included, that are putting out posts on Facebook. Birthdays coming up, to donate to Resurgence PPG. So if you have the opportunity to do that, please do so. Blake Pigeon Paramotor, I want to get him on the show real soon. Free flight pilot. Go check him out. His YouTube channel is fantastic. He's got some merchandise as well. My buddies up in Michigan, Fly My PPG, Mike Cotter, Justin, and Bob. They are getting classes lined up for next year, and I think they're filling up fairly quickly. So go check them out as well. And lastly, but not least, Para Orange Products. Oh my gosh, we had such a good time with Larry and Chris, the bag lady. Are we supposed to say her name?
Yes, we did.
Too good of a time. I think it might have been illegal at some points too. But
last week's show was illegal. Other than that, we were good.
Last week's show was illegal. If you didn't get a chance to see last week's show, go check out Trike Flyers YouTube channel. We had a great, fun, hysterical show. A lot of fun. Para Orange Products, they just came out with a product, and we talked about it a couple weeks ago, and those were the covers for the motors. Well, it's funny, the fly-in started off really slow. I was talking to the bag lady, and she goes, oh, this is starting off real slow, but at the end, man, they were booming on Saturday and all day Saturday. They actually sold out of all of those covers for the motors. So they've already got an emergency order in. They've been doing a lot of sewing since then. Those are really hot product. Larry's quad, also very, very sought after product. Go check them out. Para Orange Products or paraorange.com. There's the Larry's phone number right there. If you get like where I'm trying to hit, I can't get it right. There we go. There's a phone number. Everybody call Larry at once after the show. It'll be fun.
If you get lonely, just call Larry because he can talk for hours.
Oh yeah,
talk and talk.
Larry's great. Oh, and there was one other product that, and you can see these on some of the videos. These did not sell out, and I'm quite surprised. The coconut bras. I shouldn't put my hands there. The coconut bras, but I know I bought one, and Rick. I mean, we didn't have a choice, Rick. We had to buy them, and Dave bought one. I think a couple other people bought them as well. And so those are only $20. Those are still available, and 50%, $10 of that goes right directly to Resurgence PPG. They're not making any money off of it. They're just doing it out of the kindness of their hearts.
It's nice.
There you go.
Yeah, good times. All right. Well, did anybody fly today?
No.
Nobody?
did?
No,
No. No.
no.
I did, and it was kind of lackluster. So it is winter time.
I got 60 miles in yesterday, though.
Oh, nice.
I got about 4,000 in yesterday.
Yeah, you did.
So yeah, let's bring that up for a second. So if some of our guests start falling asleep, Julie hasn't seen in about 3 days. Jake, it's about 1 a.m. where he's at.
Yeah.
And
Me
Nicole,
too. Me too.
And Nicole, it's after her bedtime too. It's 8 o'clock somewhere there where she's at.
So let me start off by saying I first heard of Jean-Francois when he was doing his 6,000-mile paramotor adventure, and kind of followed him along and used that tracking device that he had available and watched your progress. And when you got down here in our area, I had communicated with you on Facebook a couple times, and your route was taking you right over our airport that we fly from, and it happened to be a Saturday morning. So a couple of us went out there and we've been communicating. We knew you were coming that way, and we took off, and we got to about 1,000 or 1,200 feet, and just a layer of low clouds got in between us and the ground. So we had to turn back to the airport and land, and we waited a little while, and about 30 minutes later, we could hear you going overhead. And just at one point, I saw a little opening in the clouds. I saw you go by, and that was it. So we tried, and maybe next time.
I remember that morning. I flew low at the beginning, and after I thought, I need to go above the cloud. I found an opening, and I just went straight up. Very true.
Now, up at your altitude, you probably had holes where you could see the ground, but us, we were right on top of the cloud deck, and we had to turn back and find a hole to get down.
Yeah, that was an interesting day. I got a few cloudy days.
Yeah, but it was cool. It was cool. I got to see you for just a second, and we heard you go over, so we felt like we were part of the adventure to some degree anyway.
Yeah, that's too bad. I got a few days like that where with Matt Mignard, same thing, trying to fly. We flew a little bit from his place, but after the weather got so bad, and I just disappeared. And I said, okay, I'm going by.
Yeah. And much respect to you for making those long flights. I mean, after an hour, I'm pretty much done. I'm ready to land, so I don't know how you guys do that. So let's talk a little bit about your latest adventure, about the Colorado River adventure. How did that come about? Whose idea was it?
It was my. We finished the Rio Grande trip. What should we do next? But next, the Colorado was of an extreme and on two, and I'm just going on. And from Rio Grande, which we did exactly a year prior, I thought, but the best time to do it and start the. And also, I was in Europe, that I could to come back and have to go and meet with the.
Yeah, your audio is a little bit spotty there. Is everybody else hearing that?
Yeah, I
No.
did.
I'm hearing
Yeah,
it.
I think it's the internet.
Yeah, a little bit spotty. Well, how many miles was that flight in total?
Well, I flew about 600 miles versus the 1,000 miles. Well, I was expecting a mile because the river up 14 miles, and the biking by going straight about 1,200 miles. I wanted to Monument Valley like we did, But overall, 150 miles, Jack a little more lucky in some of the lines. And after Jack, just to stop, I went straight to the.
Yeah. So the original plan, it's a 1,200 mile trip. If you do tip to tail, I wasn't going to fly into Mexico. So it was going to be about 1,000 miles for me. And where we started, there was about a 60 miles in the wrong direction, 30 miles in the wrong direction to get to the headwaters. So Jean-Francois did the headwater flight without me because I couldn't get off the ground. And then I ended up stopping at Lake Powell, which is about 500 miles in. He did about another 100 miles after that before they called it.
What type of weather challenges did you guys have?
The weather was actually super cooperative, surprisingly. Day one was just switchy, nil wind, switchy, 1 maybe 2 miles an hour, and it was pulling 180-degree switches. So that was really frustrating for me. Aside from that, day two, we had strong winds during the day. So we did a 90-mile flight, and then we had really strong winds. So we stayed grounded during the day. We tried to take off. I actually did one little flight, and it was just too windy. The rotor coming over the mountains was so bad that I couldn't get lift when I was in that downwash coming over the mountain. And so I said, you know what, let's just stay on the ground and we'll fly it in the morning. But other than that, we had super good weather the entire time.
That's good. Very good.
So there was never a time that you had to land out or anything like that because of weather?
No, I landed out because of fuel a couple of times. Jean flies with a bladder, so he's got a little longer range than I do.
So
I
what's the
didn't
story
have-
there? Did you just find a passerby, or what was the story? You
Well, we
landed
had
out?
ground crew. We had chase crews. So we'd radio and be like, hey, I need fuel. I'm on the ground. And they'd bring me fuel. So I guess we did have one more out at Blanding. We had one day that was real windy that we ended up driving from. Oh, I don't remember the names. Blanding was one, but we drove one little stretch, like 30 miles to get out of the wind zone. And then we were able to fly again. Jean, do you remember the name?
Yeah, I forgot. Blending. Sorry.
Oh, Monticello and Blanding. That's what it was.
But
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
exactly.
John, you may need to move locations and wherever you are, because it's the internet connection's real spotty and you're just coming in and out when you're speaking.
On mine.
Yeah, you look great though.
Well, thank you.
In fact,
It's the shirt.
everybody looks great. You know, you've got 3 people with matching shirts, and you've got 4 people wearing matching shirts as well. And this is
Yeah.
an anomaly. I feel, by the way, I do have to say, I do feel bad. There you go. I did tell Anthony Vella I was going to wear my new paramotoring podcast, but Nicole told me I had to wear my Pi Gamma shirt, so I did. So Anthony, if you're watching, here's my sweatshirt. I was wearing it all day. This one I haven't washed since the fly, and it smells horrible. So hopefully John will get his internet connection a little stronger. We'll be able to hear from him a little bit more.
Better?
So far, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was just phone service. I was not into Wi-Fi, and I put into Wi-Fi. Better?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
10 times
Yeah,
better.
much better. Yeah.
My mistake. Sorry about that.
We are being joined by the great trike flyer. Dave Ruff is not with us. He just joined us in. Hi, Dave.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Oh, here's
Good.
Dave. Hello.
Let's see here.
And now we've got an even 4 shirts versus 4 shirts. We're even. Pi Gamma.
Dave's
So
been
we
down
can-
hanging out with Kylo, right?
What's that?
Been down here hanging out with Kylo, eating
Yeah,
tacos?
just got back from a flight. Went out to Gillum. Flew Sarah's new wing, that Dudek 1.1. Absolutely
Like I
loved
told
it.
you, Nick. See, I told you. Keep going, Dave.
So guys,
So-
I want to know So you're planning out this. What type of preparation goes into every long journey challenge that you make for yourselves like this?
So would that be for me? That's a good.
You can start with you.
So as you get used to it, it just becomes easier. You just have to figure out a few things. Earlier, what Jake was wrong because I had a bladder, which is in fact not very. So then I'm on a Francis. I'm very. But
Hold on. Audio.
I'm not catching any of that.
No.
Jean-Francois, it's the same thing.
It's like the
Francois, you just
know
have to
sign
put that
language.
pretty.
Sorry.
Can you talk in sign language? It might help.
Can't. Let me. All right.
I think what he was saying is that the fact that he had a bladder made it not fair.
Okay.
Right? I mean, is that right, Jake?
it definitely gave him more range.
Oh, wait a minute. I've heard of people flying with P tubes. You guys don't fly with P tubes?
Not that kind of bladder.
I just tried to stay dehydrated the entire time.
You're talking about a fuel bladder. Oh, my bad.
Yeah. So Shandor and Julie, both of you were on the ground crew. Is that?
Yep. Yeah, that's correct. Yep. Yep.
So what was your day like while you were waiting for them?
Early starts, late finishes. The most stressful thing I found was driving around, sometimes on my own, and I had no signal. So I had to pull into the nearest town, find a McDonald's to get free Wi-Fi, find out where I was, where they were, and how to get there. So yeah, I got pretty stressed out.
So for the preparation stuff, one of the conditions to come and fly this was that we had to arrange our own ground crew.
Yeah.
So Julie and Shandor were there for Jean-Francois. We actually had two more ground crew. So my nephew Chase joined us as my ground crew, and we had Jean, a French guy that spoke zero English.
Jean Leroux.
And so he was great. He's a paramotor pilot himself, so he knew what I needed, and he helped me out a lot. But I couldn't talk to him at all. That was fun. There was a lot of Google Translate that was happening there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Can you hear me better now, guys? Can you hear me better?
That's way better.
Much better. Yeah.
All right. I set up my microphone. I connect the microphone to my phone. I cannot hear you. So now, because I have a dual system, I was able to, now I can hear you through my headset. So now you have better. Okay, good. Very good. So I'm back. Sorry about that.
Now we're done with the pre-show. Now that the pre-show is over, now we can go live and everybody sounds good.
Everybody's ready now. We're good. We're good.
I do want to thank Shandor for setting up this program and getting this program really together. It's really to his credit that he got this together. So I want to ask Shandor a question. Shandor, if he may be more popular than the other three of you, or in fact of all of us, because you see him a lot on Facebook, and he's, as Todd Scandrett said, he's becoming the PPG cheerleader out there. He has not trained yet. He has not flown yet. He's just very excited. Shandor, how did you get involved with this?
A few months back, I received a message from Jean. We had stayed in contact after his 6,000-mile adventure. And a few months ago, he sent me a message asking if I would like to participate and be part of his ground crew. And I couldn't believe it. I said, without even hesitation, yes, most definitely, I would love to be a part of your ground crew.
So the reason behind all of that is because Shandor is the one that really followed me the most during my 6,000 miles trip. He was there all the time, every time I was sending a post. Not everybody, but a lot of people, but still he was the one that was following quite a bit and always sharing the post doing what he had to do. So that was very, very good. And when I set up the 6,000 miles, well, let's get him involved. Sorry, I'm moving the screen here. Let's get him involved like that. He will be able to see what an adventure is. And he was so much into flying and never got a chance to fly. And I thought also maybe during that trip, he would be able himself to fly through a tandem. I was thinking that we're going to have a lot more pilots because we were supposed to be about 10 of us and only one came. That said, the other one, I don't know, some got dissipated, some got disturbed, some got some issues. Some decided not to say if they were coming or not. So I would try all the way to the end to get them to come, to say, come on, tell me what's going on. But they could not get any decision made. But anyway, Shandor was right from the beginning. He was like, oh, yes, oh, that's exciting. And it was all about the excitement and the happiness of him to have to do something new for him. And I thought, well, he's the guy and he would like to share and he would like to show everybody what an amazing trip he can be. And he was a good guy to have with us. It was very fun.
Chandra, what's going on with your training? What's your plan for this next year?
I'm hoping to do my training somewhere around springtime or summertime. I'm basically still in the process of saving up money for my gear. But I'm guessing I should have the money by spring or summer. And my training is actually being done by somebody you all might be familiar with, Mr. Brandon McLeod.
Nice.
I was very happy and feel honored to that Brandon offered to do my training. And I'm very excited. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm hoping it's going to happen somewhere in between the spring and the summer.
Awesome, man. It'd be a dream come true for you.
Yeah.
Did you get to take your tandem?
I can't wait. Very excited. Pardon?
Did you get to take your tandem?
Unfortunately, the tandem person was not able to make it for the trip, so I still haven't had a chance to fly. I'm just still very excited too. I'm hoping very shortly I'm able to find a tandem, or I might have to wait until the weather gets a little bit warmer now. I've down south, I've actually had 2 or 3 invitations to go down south for a tandem, but I just got back from this trip, so I'm not really able to do any traveling at the moment.
Now remind me where you're from.
I'm in Illinois. I'm in central Illinois, and I've been offered tandems in Florida, down at Aviator. I've been offered a tandem with Houston PPG, Ronnie Warwick, who sometimes works with Matt Minyard. So I've had a few offers down south, but I just can't quite make it down there at the moment. But I'm hoping to get in the air as soon as possible.
I hope that you are too, because that's an experience that you definitely want to have before you start training.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait.
It's wonderful.
We did get Jean-Francois's motor on your back though, didn't we? And you were revving it up. Yeah. You had a practice.
That was kind of intimidating. It was the same motor that he used during the 6,000 mile paramotor adventure, and it was the first time I really had a paramotor like that on my back, and I don't think I took it past like 2/3 power. Like I was too scared to take it to full power. So
I would have grabbed that thing and just strapped a wing on and just send it, man. Just send it. I know you don't know how to fly, but just do it.
Right. I can kite, but that's about it at the moment.
You have been kiting?
It's been a little while since I've had the chance to kite. It's been a little over a month, but I hope I'm able to make my wing purchase first, so that way I can go ahead and start my kiting back up again. So once my training is here, I have plenty of kiting practice under my belt.
Yeah,
he did a little bit of kiting while we were waiting to fly on day 2, and he did really good. Put a wing on him and a harness on him, and yeah, he did really good.
That's awesome. I'm so excited for you, Shandor.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that first flight. Can't wait to have you at the fly-ins with us, man. We have so much fun.
Oh yeah.
That'll be great. That'll be great.
It's ridiculous, Shondor. Don't listen to him. It's ridiculous.
That's what's fun about it.
It is
It
great
really
fun.
was.
Nobody got arrested that I know of. And
You
yeah.
toilet papered my trailer.
No, my trailer got toilet papered.
There was one
No,
gunshot.
I remember. Well,
I miss
listen,
America.
I walked in my trailer and found someone else in bed with my man. I'm just saying.
David?
Was it Rick?
No, it was Tim Gaskins.
Yeah, that's right.
It was great.
Go to a few of these and
Sorry.
show up. It's like running into family again, you know, like
It is. It's a big family reunion.
yeah, so much fun.
Shondor, there's a question from the chat for you from Anthony Vella, and he does this all the
no.
time to every
Oh, no.
guest, and he wants to know who your 3 favorite vloggers are.
Condor, all I gotta say is
Yeah, right here. Right here.
I think I should remain neutral on this one. Everyone
No,
is
that's
my
not an
favorite.
option.
You know, everyone is my favorite. That's why I love sharing everybody. All paramotor content gets me excited. I'm happy to see content from everybody. That's why I love to share all over Facebook. So I'm not going to pick any favors.
Sondor, have you considered a job in politics?
No, not interested in politics. No.
Cool.
Anthony, you're just trying to stir trouble.
I know.
Put Leandra on the phone. That's who
Yeah.
you want to talk to.
Yep.
She's got his back. Don't think for a second it's any different with her. Hey, so
You're going to say who your favorite podcast is, at least.
yeah, he always does that too.
Oh, well, Anthony's definitely my favorite podcast. That's for sure.
He's the only podcast.
Only podcast.
So I actually found the guy that trained Anthony Vella, and I actually had to make him admit to it. He didn't want to admit it.
Right there.
Ron Turan said that he allegedly tried to train Anthony Vella. I have it on video.
Right.
Super, super cool.
So Shondor sent me a lot of videos and pictures. Shondor, as we're going through and we're talking about the experience here, if there's something, a specific video or picture you want me to bring up, I can bring that up and show that to everybody as well.
Okay.
All right, good.
What do we got for pictures? Let's see some pictures.
Want to see some pictures?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just going to go right down the list. And so as I'm showing these, you can kind of just talk about what you're seeing here. Let's start with.
Whoops.
Jean-Francois, I had to mute your connection because we had some really bad feedback from your phone. If you want to speak up and say something, just wave or unmute yourself, and we'll unmute you there.
So one of the things that I want to know from Jake and Jean-Francois is, what is your number one must-have in your, carrying on your motor whenever you go for a long-distance flight? What is the one thing that you will not leave home without? Whether it be a toolkit, a gasket set, a belt, wing bag. What is it that you pack into your pack to not leave home without?
Toilet paper.
Great.
That's fair.
That's true. So
That's
I always
fair.
fly with a spare spark plug and a roll of toilet paper.
That's a good thing to add.
I never even thought about packing toilet paper.
Me. Can you hear me there or not? I don't even know if you can.
Yeah, we
The
can
first
hear you.
time,
Okay, so can you hear me okay? If you can hear me okay, yeah. What I have with me, I always carry, I carry a lot of things. I always have a flare gun with me.
A flare gun.
Yes, I carry, I'll tell you about the wing bag, between the Colorado River and a few days later, right, bag. And I said, you cannot fly with that one. Prime an engine out, and you have to land some wing walk. So, meaning I always have a bag, I always and which is just a motor except engine block, but everything else is uh, much it.
He was breaking up pretty bad. I think what he was saying is that Larry from Pear Orange and Chris make some really nice wing bags, and that's what he likes to carry. So if you have a forced landing and you have a motor out, you have a bag to put your wing in. I'm sorry, John, you were just breaking up. We were only getting little bits and pieces of it.
That's bad. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you said. So let me see if I reconnect my microphone.
Sometimes it's difficult when we have pilots in remote locations like this. He's in a motorhome in Mexico somewhere, and the signal is just not good. The wireless is not good there. So we're doing.
Is that better now that I reconnected the microphone?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go with that. We'll deal with the buzzing, and if you can just mute yourself when you're not talking, we'll
All
work
right,
with that.
I'll disconnect. So yeah. So now if I go back to the flare gun, the flare gun story is very simple. I always carry the flare gun during my 6,000 mile, during the Rio Grande, during my first trip when I did cross country, all the way to the Southern Sea. That was 700 miles, and I thought if one day I go down at the wrong place and I hurt myself so bad that maybe the phone broke and I cannot contact anybody, but people have an idea just about where I could be, the flare gun could be a way to tell people your location. So I carry it with me. Yes.
What happens if you land and you accidentally break the flare gun?
Well, hopefully you don't break the phone. Hopefully your other tracking. Hopefully, because the other thing that I carry with me all the time when I long distance is for sure the tracking device, which will be the Dolom system, the InReach. Is very important to have. That's the one people could follow me on real time when I was flying all this adventure. And for me, is also an extra device that helped me to see where I am in case the other app on my phone stopped to work, for example. So I use many different kind of apps to make it work. But that's what I carry. Always the same thing. Plus, don't forget something very important. Also, during the Sierra Nevada trip, nobody carried that, and they all had issues. And I was the one that was giving them the direction. Nobody had a battery pack to keep their phone charged while flying in the air, while flying. Very, very important to have a battery pack, a spare battery pack.
Oh, sure. When you're using all those apps flying, that uses up battery on your phone, GPS location. Yeah.
Very fast. And if you climb an altitude, you are 12,000 feet, 14,000 feet. When we were Sierra Nevada, we went to 16,000 feet. It's very cold. So the battery of your phone would just burn out very, very fast. So that's what I have.
I'm going to post. Go ahead, Nicole.
Sorry. What was your normal altitude? Like, what was the standard traveling altitude while you were on that trip?
There's above ground. There's no standard altitude. It's all about weather. It's all about what you get. So we check out that app, which is called Windy. Most of everybody will be using just about the same one, and we'll try to figure out what wind direction at what altitude is the best bet for us to be able to go fast. That's what you want to do. If you can go faster than 30 miles an hour, well, you take it. If you can go 40 miles an hour, you take it. But when you do a trip like the Colorado River or the Rio Grande, you want to try, if you can, to stay as low as possible, because the pleasure is to follow the river and feel like you are with the river and not 2,000 feet above. So we did fly a few times above high just for safety, but most of the time we try to stay low.
So it was nice to have multiple pilots on that in communication with each other. There was one day where there was no land outs. Like it was just trees and mountains and sketchy. And it took above 10,000 feet before we found smooth air, because we were getting rotor off of the Rockies. I mean, like massive rotor coming the size of the Rocky Mountains.
Wow.
And so one of us was low and one of us was high, and we're talking on the radio about what we're feeling. And it was above 10,000 feet that the air finally got smooth. Had Jean not gone up that high, I probably wouldn't have followed up until he said, hey, it's smoother up here. So really just testing the air at those different altitudes and figuring out what is going to work best. And the whole time it was like every day that we flew, it was testing just different layers of air to figure out what was going to work best for that flight.
Jake, are you
And
saying
having two people
10,000
testing
feet?
was nice.
Is that 10,000 feet AGL?
I think the highest we flew, or at least the highest I flew, no, it wasn't AGL.
Okay.
The highest I flew AGL was probably 8,000 or 9,000 feet.
Okay.
But that was, you know, I mean, we were at 4,000 feet at that point for ground level.
Hmm.
Sorry, I'm mute, so I cannot talk. Okay, can you hear me?
We
Yeah.
can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he muted me because of the buzzing. That's what I thought. I saw something on the screen. Yeah, it was. I think it was more like about 5,000 feet above ground because we, when we were near, okay, the name will come back. We were flying above the mountains and as high as we could, and not too high to try to get the wind speed, but because we were launching at about 6,000 feet. So we were about 12,000 feet. So yeah, that was pretty high. It's cold. That's the thing. You want to be ready for the cold. Jake was never covered enough, I think, but you know, I'm a skinny guy. He's a fatty guy, so he can take more cold with less clothes, I guess. Yeah, very true. What do you think about that, Jake?
we did a live video at one point about what we flew in, and I was flying in just a ski jacket and some snowboarding pants, and he had 9 layers of clothing on.
Yeah.
How do you even run and get in the air with 9 layers of clothes on?
Right?
Yeah, you all made a video of that.
Yeah, the video was pretty good. Yeah, when I did the 6,000 miles, my first flight from San Diego all the way to the Salton Sea, I had 11 layers. But, you know, a lot of them are very small. It could be a T-shirt that is very thin and very tight to give you that first thermal and just build up from there. And I had heated gloves, and when I landed, I was very, very, very cold. It was very cold. So layers, altitude, you have to be ready for
What's
it.
going on in this picture right here? Is that Maynard?
Oh, yeah.
That
Look
was
at that.
Chase treating all of us to some wiener schnitzel.
Wiener Schnitzel and Tasty Freeze. Sounds
Yep.
sounds
Yeah, that
sounds
was
like what
awesome.
you wanna-
Yeah, Chase bought us all some hot dogs with sauerkraut and mustard, and they were really good.
They
Yeah.
actually, so I landed out. I knew that I wasn't going to make it over the next pass. So I landed out and had Chase bring me fuel, and he brought me one of those hot dogs.
Well, you guys probably
That
Exactly.
was
pretty
great. Thank you,
challenging
Chase, if you're
launches
watching.
from those high altitude sites. I'm launching at 4,000 or 6,000 feet.
Look at
So
this.
the highest I launched from was 8,300, and that was from the Granby Airport.
Wow.
The picture that's up right now is actually at Lake Powell, and I think that's about 4,000 feet, but that's at Lone Rock. And without a doubt, that is my favorite footage, is flying that day. I have more footage for the videos that I do from Lake Powell than I do for the rest of the trip combined, because I had several people in that boat with phones, and they all just airdropped me their videos. So I've got so much footage from that trip, from that flight. It was great.
What was it that you liked the most?
Jake, go ahead.
So I think Lake Powell was my favorite in that was I don't know, Moab and Lake Powell were my 2 high points. We flew the Corona Arch. We were able to go through the Corona Arch, and then foot dragging Lake Powell, foot dragging Lone Rock. I grew up in that part of the world, so I grew up in Utah, and so it was like being back home and flying in places that I've always wanted to fly. So that was pretty nice. Yeah, that was me taking off.
Trying.
Wow.
Sort of.
Don't be mean.
That's a very long run.
Holy
Oh,
cow.
Yeah,
you
so-
should have seen the ones up in Colorado.
Yeah.
I watched Jake run from one end of the runway to the other end of the runway on one of
Yep.
his launch jumps.
Yeah.
Hold on. Couldn't get off the ground.
And have you
You
flown
re-
back at sea level since then? Where do you live at, Jake?
Sea level. I'm in England right now.
Okay.
So all of my I've only been flying for a year, a little over a year now, and all of my flights have been from sea level. So then I went on this adventure with Jean-Francois, and my first flight there was at 8,300 feet, and it was rough.
But we got you in the air. We got you in the air, Jake.
Yep,
Wait a
and
minute.
that was massively Julie leading that charge to get me in the air. So this one is
wait a minute.
this is in Moab.
Wait,
This is
Jake, I gotta ask you, is that a windsock on the back of your wing dragging behind you?
No, it's my chase cam.
Oh, that's your chase cam. It looks like a windsock.
Yeah.
No, so Jean-Francois is the one that ended up with the windsock.
Oh, tell.
I'm the winner. Go ahead, tell the story. It was
Yeah.
very good.
No, that's your story, Jean-Francois.
Oh,
You
that's
tell
my
it.
story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. This one when I think it was the third day of flying, we had to launch from a truck stop, and the wind direction was it was okay, it was acceptable. We put the wing sock in one specific location, which was off the pavement because we could pin it into the dirt, which was plenty far enough from the LZ. I set up and I run, and I don't know why my wing just turned into the wind a little bit, and I did a nice launch in the turn. It was a nice, beautiful, nice launch in the turn. It was a perfect nice. And I got very, very close to that wingsock, and I caught the wingsock with me. Luckily, the wingsock is on a little piece of metal, and it came up with the wing. And I heard on the radio, "You got the wingsock. The wingsock is with you." So I kept looking at it and said, "Oh, great, the wingsock is there." It was very interesting because I flew about, I think that day was about 120 miles with the wingsock all the way to the end. And when I landed, I did a video about it. When I landed, that's one of the one where Jake finished a little bit before me. And when I landed, I said, "Oh, where's the wingsock? I don't find it in the wing anymore." And it happened that just when I guess trimmed in a little bit and I starting to lose some speed for landing, I lost the wingsock about 200 yards from wherever I landed, but I didn't see it. But the ground crew, which was Julie and Sander, they park on the other side of the fence, and after they came toward me and they were walking the wingsock in their hand, I said, "Hey, the wingsock is back." So a wingsock flew a long way. It was very interesting. Yeah.
I got some good footage of Jean-Francois with that windsock.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that picture. That picture was Jean continuing to fly. It was coming up close to sunset. We were heading to Valley of the Gods, and Jake decided to land because it was getting close to sunset, but Jean decided to keep on going. Do you all remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember the reason I kept going is because I knew I was only 5 miles from the place I said we should be landing. And when I arrived, it was kind of dark, I guess. Not really dark, but a little bit dark. And there were a little motorhome here, another motorhome here. I had about 100 feet in between to land on the tiny little plateau. And I guess I got lucky. I did a one turn. No, I didn't even do one pass. I mean, I did one semi S turn, and I landed. And I just kept going. I think I got a few fly where I went a little bit further than Jake. One time because of he was running out of gas, and I put an extra 50 miles or 40 miles. That was landing in Fruta. This one, he landed a little bit earlier. He was a little bit concerned about the dark, but I knew the place. I knew where we need to land, so I thought it was safe. They were all worried about power lines. And
so it's all about risk profile, right? Like every pilot has their own risk profile, and I'm not faulting Jean-Francois for continuing flying when I was like, you know what, it's dark enough that I'm going to land. I landed out, and like he said, we were only about 5 miles from where we were going, but I didn't know where we were meant to land. And I saw a spot that was on the side of the road, a good pull off that I knew was clear of power lines. It was dark enough that I was like, man, I'm not comfortable flying anymore. So I landed. He kept going 5 miles, landed where he intended to land. But I do remember the next morning, he looked over the cliff edge and was like, yeah, I couldn't tell it was that big.
It was not a cliff. It was a nice slant. But yeah, when it gets a little bit darker, you don't see the perspective. I do agree.
Yeah.
Well, Jake, that's what being pilot in command is all about.
That's a fact.
That's exactly it. making your own choices. So
Yeah.
I applaud both of you for knowing exactly where you were and, you know, where you were comfortable.
Yeah.
But on this one is interesting because on this one, I knew I did not have to go very far and I knew where I wanted to land. When I did my 6,000 miles, I just didn't know where I was going to land. I had some ideas, but it's all about wind direction. It's all about how much gas you have left. And when you get closer to the time, you just keep looking at your fuel gauge and instead, or your fuel tank, sorry. And you think, well, I only have an extra 30 minutes. Let me see my LZ possibilities. And
So this
80% of the
caption
time I
says-
landed without knowing. Sorry, go ahead.
This caption says you're doing a touch and go at a dried up lake bed outside of Las Vegas.
Yeah, this one is between Las Vegas and the Hoover Dam. There's one of the dry lake near the big power.
Oh, here it is. I think I got that one here. Let's see if I can get that up here. Hold on a second. Oop. There we go. This might be something just about the same here. There you go.
Oh yeah, that's the same place. That was a nice evening flight, I believe. Yes, another beautiful day.
That's a gorgeous picture.
Yeah, thank you, Sander.
Yeah,
Looks
Chandler, he got some really good pictures. One of my favorites is when we were flying to the Valley of the Gods. You got all these rays that are coming in as Jean was flying over. But yeah, Chandler he got some great footage. He got some great pictures.
Valley of the Gods right here.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
my phone wasn't giving me trouble, I did have phone trouble on the trip.
Yeah, that phone was definitely a source of headache. So that picture that you just had up, that was one of the legs that I didn't fly. Jean was able to take off. As soon as he took off, the wind switched direction, and it was such a small area. And I don't get off the ground as quick as he does. And I gave it 2 attempts, and I was just like, you know what? It's not going to happen. And so I didn't fly that Valley of the Gods flight. Yep. So right here, you can see the little piece of dirt that he's launching from, and I just couldn't get off the ground there. So I ended up riding in the truck, and that was a hard thing for me to do, is to say, you know what? I'm not going to do this and ride in the truck.
He really humbled you, didn't he?
I tell you what, it was an eye-opening adventure for me. I consider myself to be a competent pilot. I don't fail many launches, but doing this trip, I failed more launches in one day than I did in a full year of flying.
Wow.
And yeah, that definitely makes you say,
There you go.
there's some areas that I can improve on.
But that was
John-
down. That was
I'm
down
sorry,
to the
Julie.
altitude. Sorry, I was just saying that was down to the altitude. You know, launching from a really high altitude is not going to be easy, is it?
No, for sure it's not. And for anybody that has never done it, that thinks, oh yeah, I could do that, go give it a shot and record it and be honest with yourself about
Yeah.
it and post it on the internet and say, hey guys, what's going on? Because you're gonna probably fail if you've never launched from that high. There's definitely a learning curve.
So my other question is what size was your wing?
28 meters.
28 meters. And Jean-Francois?
Can you hear me there? Okay, I'm on mute. Myself at 22 meters. That's what I flew with. So what is interesting is that if you look at the balance, it's all a question of speed. We have exactly the same wing. My wing is smaller than Jake's wing. I'm lighter than Jake, so we should be almost even. But I guess at the end for launching, my wing should be more difficult because I was still going a lot faster than Jake in overall speed. So that means my weight ratio versus the side of the wing was still more. I was heavier on the wing than him. Yes.
So you were faster.
I was faster by quite a bit. Yes.
He was faster. Part of that, when we were flying, when we flew that flight to the Valley of the Gods, we were both trimmed all the way out, and he was a little faster than me, but I could hit speed bar once every 10 minutes or so, and stay with him. So he was definitely a little faster than me, but one of the big differences is the comfort level, where he flies trimmed out all the time. And I'm like, I'm going to fly on red on the R3. That's like mid trim, that's neutral. But that allows me to use my brakes. And in rough air, which it was a lot, I'm going to fly on red because I like to be able to use my brakes. And he'd still fly trimmed out. And so then he would just leave me in the dust. But that's all about
Yep,
that
that's
comfort
true.
level of the pilot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true that sometimes you were keeping up with me. So at the end, yes, we have just about the same weight ratio on the wing itself. The that flight that we did, the one meaning that I did from Valley of the God to Monument Valley, that was an interesting one for me because, well, maybe you want to talk about this one. I don't know. That is in Moab. I don't know who is launching on this one. That was the evening when it was very bumpy.
That's you, John.
Oh yeah, well the Estes wing, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Here he goes.
Yeah. That was a beautiful evening. I think that was the morning one, I think. That's when we went and flew under the arch.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. That was a beautiful day. Yeah. That's the one we're going to go for a big long leg of flying along the river. Yeah, we had some beautiful flight. The flight that earlier you were asking which one you think was your favorite one. I really like the one from Fruta all the way to Moab. Meaning Light Power was just a candy on the cake there, we could say. But
and then we
that one
finished
was
with
perfect.
the Fisher Towers,
Big
and
pal.
that was absolutely awesome.
Now, Craig Taylor wants to know if you ordered your wing with logos from Ozone.
Yes, the Ozone just put it. So you get the wing, get the sponsor to decide his logo after this communication. And this one is a sew in. So what they do, they cut the wing and they just sew a new piece to create the logo. They have another style also where you can just stick in, which is just a glued in, but it doesn't last as long. It's not as pretty. You just add an extra weight to it, we could say. Directly from Ozone.
Fantastic.
Very cool.
Very
So,
cool.
There's another one. Let me get this going here.
So
Well, I was following Julie's adventures through the entire trip that she had, and I just cannot express how incredible your trip was from start to finish. And I hope that someday that I can do that and fly at Salton Sea.
Oh, Salton Sea was amazing. So I was ground crew all the way through Colorado River and Sierra Nevada. And then we went to Salton Sea, and Team Fly Halo lent me a mini plane with top 80. And one of the guys said, "Oh, when was your last paramotor flight?" So I dodged that question. It was 15 months earlier. So anyway, I had 4 flights. I aced my launch, so I was delighted. But I had 4 flights over 4 days. I actually flew with Jean-Francois, which was cool. And I had my longest flight and the furthest distance. So thank you, Team Fly Halo, for trusting me with your kit. It was awesome. Yeah, we flew over the canyons and all the crusty, salty edge of the Salton Sea. So yeah, that was my treat.
Well, that was wonderful. And it was wonderful getting to talk to you about the Ladies' Night show.
Yeah, that was good.
That was really awesome. Getting to talk to everybody from around the world.
Good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I was a slave for the first 2 trips, but then I got my treat at Salton Sea because I am pilot. So I mean, I do know my stuff. I'm pilot for paragliding, pilot for paramotoring, and pilot for the ultralight. So that's the sub 70 flex wing trike in England. So yeah, I do love it. But it was just so nice to be part of this trip for supporting Jake and Jean-Francois.
So I'm working on a video right now of day 2, and I give a big shout out to Julie. You'll see it Thursday when I release it, but she absolutely was a key player in getting me off the ground. She knows what she's doing, And so you don't have to say, hey, will you do this or do this? I can focus on what I'm doing. And I know that she's going to set my wing out right.
Keep you
If I need to
safe.
shift for wind, she's right there. I don't have to say it. She's already on top of it. She can grab a crew for me any day.
You can be
Thanks,
my wingman. Yes, you can be mine.
Thank you.
Don't worry, Julie. When he comes over to England, he'll be your ground crew.
I'm in
Yay.
England.
Well, he's in England.
Yeah, I've been here for 3 years.
Yeah. No, thank you. That was good. It was just great to be there.
You know, you can't make a journey like that without ground support. That's for sure.
Oh, that's a
No,
fact.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I don't know. I mean, Jean, you know better than anybody on what it takes to do a trip like that. Have you done a big one with zero support?
I did one. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm still connected. Okay, very good. Yeah, my first trip after only 65 flights, I did 750 miles unsupported. I was carrying at launch, I had 160 pounds on my back. I was carrying tent, sleeping bag, mattress, camera equipment, spare part, 3 liters of oil, many bladders to carry things, fuel bladder, clothes, extra clothes, gloves, and flare gun. So I had and water, food, cooked up, a little pot to cook, a bowl, and silverware to be able to eat. So it was 160 pounds, and that was from Albuquerque, New Mexico, all the way to the Salton Sea.
Wow.
And that was, I will never do it again. It's just way too much. I wanted to see if I could carry the weight to be able to do the Icarus race in Africa. And I did it. It was fine, but it's heavy. You really have to be very, very, very well organized before you do your launch. You want to make sure you don't have to reset. So you want to pretty much wait. There's something that was very interesting is that the big difference to fly between the Southwest and other places in the country or the UK, for example, is that where we launch, there's a lot of dirt, and the dirt is a good thing to see which way the direction of the wind is coming, because you just kick the dirt and you just wait for the dirt and the dust to come right between your legs, and now you can launch. All these guys there that launch on the grass, I don't know how they do it. So the fact that I had some dirt when I did that 750 miles was very, very good, because I had 160 pounds on my back and I only messed up 2 launches out of the 9 I did to do this 750 miles. So that was a big one. So just the weight is just not comfortable. So now if I go and push a little bit deeper, when people always talk about, oh, my paramotor is lighter than yours, I kind of laugh at it, because it doesn't make any difference. People, it's all about, my car is faster than yours, who cares? So for the weight, if you have a paramotor that is lighter and you want to add anyway a little bit of extra fuel because you want to do long distance, your paramotor will be heavier than your friend's paramotor. So I had 160 pounds. It was okay. I don't want to do it again, but a few extra pounds of extra fuel or a few spare parts that you should carry, you only carry that extra weight just for a few minutes. So to me, doesn't make any difference.
What was the camping like for you guys? Between
I was super jealous of Jean-Francois, because he's got that huge rig with his trailer and his camper on the back of his truck. And I was sleeping in a tent, or I slept in a toilet restroom, like a truck stop, like legit. I slept just on a tarp under the stars. In fact, right there is where I slept, where that video was panning. I just threw a tarp out.
Wait, let me go back. You said you slept under the picnic table?
No,
you said?
Right beside that picnic table. I just laid a tarp on the ground right there and threw my sleeping bag on it. I didn't even set up the tent because I was so tired.
Scorpions, red ants, nothing.
It's exhausting.
And you guys didn't let him sleep in your trailers?
There was no room.
Yeah, we had as many as 4 people in that little camper.
Yeah.
At the Valley of the Gods, I slept on top of Jean's
He
trailer.
did, yeah.
Yep. So it was just kind of a you rack out wherever you fall down kind of a thing. But I was jealous of Jean-Francois because he had that pre-made bed that was always available to him, where I'm fighting with my nephew. I'm like, no, man, I'm sleeping in the truck tonight. I'm like, you sleep on the ground. And so it was a constant back and forth. And like, there was a few nights that I set up a tent. But it was just, at the end of the day, at the end of flying, you're tired. Your mind is tired. The last thing you want to do is set up a tent and then have to deal with that first thing in the morning when you're trying to get off the ground at first light. I found it easier to just find somewhere to sleep without a tent, so I didn't have to deal with it.
Doesn't that fall under ground support? I thought that was ground support's role.
Yeah.
Dream on. Hey, Nicole.
Ground support was awesome, but I mean, even they have their limits. there was definitely a night where I was like, you know what? I'm paying for a hotel room.
Yeah. Hey, Nicole.
Yeah.
You know how these boys like to rough it? Well, we girls like to have a shower and wash our hair sometimes, don't we?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes. I mean, I will say that I went. I did rough it during the fly-in in our camper, but our cargo trailer. But otherwise, no. I would like a room with a bed and a shower. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
Wait,
well.
Your air-conditioned, heated paramotor trailer with a mattress in it, you roughed it?
Yeah, I did. I did. You know why? Because it didn't have a real toilet. That's why. That's called roughing it. I'm just saying, my cargo trailer. So yes, it has an air conditioner. Yes, it has a heater. It has a 4.2 cubic foot refrigerator. It has
this
a
show is becoming all
Keurig.
about one-ups.
That's rough in it.
One up you.
Yeah, it has a Keurig. It has a mattress that's up off the floor, like at bed height. But I'm having to use a camp toilet, so
it's a little better than Jake sleeping in the dirt. That's good.
That's roughing it.
Yeah. Well, Jake actually did sleep in the ladies' toilet at one place.
Well, you know what, Jake? It was a lot cleaner than the men's toilet. I'm
It
just
was.
That is a fact. You'll see it this Thursday. That video is the one I'm releasing. You'll see that there's a clear comparison. Men are disgusting.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Awesome. I'll be looking forward to that video. The flying part, not the toilet hugging.
So if anybody's
Don't
ever
forget,
thinking
if you're
of
watching
spending a night in those,
post your question.
if anybody's
your
ever
questions
thinking
in
of
the chat
spending
if
the
you have
night in
any
one of those toilets,
Questions?
you got a question?
Uh-oh.
No, Jake, he
Everybody
was
talks
saying
at once
if
and no
anyone
one
in the
talks.
chat has a question, please post your question and we're going to ask it.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So myself, if we go back to the long distance paramotor adventure, when we fly as a group, something that is very important for everybody to know and get ready for it is communication. And that's why we have issue with the Rio Grande adventure. With Jake was not too much of an issue because we were two of us. We had the same issue during the Sierra Nevada trip, that communication is a problem. And communication meaning if somebody has an issue is slowing down, it's nice to wait for that person. Communication is know where we are going to go and try to fly together, which we did during the Rio Grande adventure and we did during the Colorado River. Communication, make sure that everybody has a possibility to access to his phone, to be able to message using Messenger as long as you have service, because the phone and communication using the Bluetooth system or the intercom will maybe not work. It could be that the radio has an issue. So it's very important to be able to message and make sure that all the helmets are also connected through a phone system in case you have service and you can call, because maybe the radio will be too far away. So communication, I think, is one of the key points when you do long distance flying. And out of the 3 times I did it, 3 times we had issues. And it's very hard to be the one that doesn't know what's going on, because if you are behind or you don't really know what's happening, you feel lost, and feeling lost when you are 3,000 feet from the ground is a big deal. Feeling lost, not knowing how much more distance you have to go before you are going to land is a problem. And that's very important. During the Sierra Nevada trip, the guys had issue because none of them had battery pack to keep the phone charged. And myself, I'm also there with my battery pack. My phone is always on. I know exactly where I'm going. So a few times the communications are, well, tell us how far we are and tell us where we can go. And and we were doing that communication mainly through Messenger, because one of the guy, his helmet was not working or not connected. There's always one that has an issue. Jake, go ahead.
So that was something that I definitely noticed. The communication was difficult with the ground crew. And Julie, you'll probably be better at articulating this than me, but they would not know where we were at until they got service, and all of a sudden we're 60 miles farther than they thought. Julie, you want to talk about your experience with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, my service provider is with 3 in the UK, and my phone is supposed to work in America, Australia, etc. And sometimes I had service and sometimes nothing. So I didn't know where I was. I didn't know where Jean-Francois was. I had to pull off the highway to get to a McDonald's to get free Wi-Fi to see where I was, where he was, and how to get there. So it was really stressful because it was dark and I knew he'd already landed. So it was still like an hour and a half away to get there. So communication is, it's vital. And Jean-Francois, I know you like listening to music while you're flying.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So when you have service, very good for music.
Yeah.
Again, the helmets does a lot. On this one here, Jake and I were connected. We had exactly the same helmet, which one of the Envolo helmet that I have above. So we had the same system, and I always lose my headset. Sorry about that. And we were communicating a lot by intercom because we were just 2 of us, so we were never too far from each other. Radio was so on that project. Yep.
Yeah. I also want to give a nice shout out to Shandor, actually, because he had problems with his phone, became a bit of an in-joke. I'm so sorry, Shandor, but it was. But
That's truthful.
But one night, your phone saved our lives because nothing else would work, but miraculously, your phone did. And that was the only reason we managed to find Jean-Francois. And when we got there, he wasn't just stood by the side of the road. He was helping some people who had a blowout on their tire, and he was waiting for us to get there with all his tools so that he could help them fix their tire on their truck. So, yeah. So anyway, Shandor, thank you so much. Otherwise, we never would have found him.
The Life 360 app is what saved us.
Yes.
Go ahead, explain, Sandro. Just tell everybody what that is.
Well, it basically shows you everyone's location, but in order for it to work, you do need to have a signal, like Jean needed to have a signal to show his most recent location, and I needed to have a signal so I could get to his, so I could see where his location is, and luckily. Luckily, my phone off and on did get signal, so I was able to pinpoint his location through that Life 360 app when nobody else's phone was working.
It's a brilliant app.
So luckily, we were able to locate Jean that night, and like Julie was saying, it was already dark, and we still had an hour and a half to get to his location, but luckily. Jean met up with some people who was having tire issues, and they were able to stay with Jean until we were able to locate him. So Jean
otherwise I was
by himself.
Otherwise I was going to be all alone on that road there. That for sure. But the app is very good, but there's an issue with the app because it's perfect as long as you have a service, any kind of self-service. If you don't have a self-service and you are driving, or if you don't have self-service and you are flying, the app beep location will stop sometime to move. So we assume when you are flying that the car is moving and is coming towards you. But what could be misleading at the beginning, people that are on the ground that are not used to it, they could be thinking, oh, the app, this is dot doesn't move anymore. Did it crash? It's not moving. Is it still moving? It's not moving. So sometime if the dot doesn't move anymore, people will be confused because they will not know where you are exactly. And it could be that you don't have, it could be that myself, if I'm at 14,000 feet or 12,000 feet, my cell service will probably not work anymore and they will not know until I land or get lower in elevation.
Yeah, but at that time we knew you'd landed and it said your last known location like 10 minutes ago. So we knew where to aim for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. But sometimes it could be confusing. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. Hmm.
Go ahead for question, guys.
So what are the legalities of flying in England?
Who's that to?
Well,
Both
England
yeah.
is real similar to the United States in that you don't need to be licensed, you don't need to be trained. You can
Right.
buy it and fly it. I don't
Yep.
recommend buying and flying, but you can. With that said, there are some differences. In England, you can fly over towns, for instance. As long as you've got a glide ratio that can take you away from it, you can fly that. There's an 800-foot rule. There's some rules for sure, but it's real similar. What you got?
Yeah.
Julie?
Okay, so paramotoring in England, so it's completely unregulated, but you do have to abide by air law. And so there's the 500-foot rule where you mustn't be within 500 foot of animals, vehicles, vessels, buildings, blah, blah, blah. If you're flying over a town, you have to have clear glide to safety, and you must be so far above and so far away from like a church tower, that sort of thing. And you mustn't go into airspace, so no air traffic control areas. So it's common sense, but yeah, it is pretty much completely unregulated.
And what about
It's one
in
of the
France?
few things in England that is still free.
Yeah.
What
Sorry.
about France?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. As them, I never flew in France, so what do I know?
Me neither.
I know France is complicated. I know they have a lot of rules. I know there's is a pain in the ass to fly back there versus the US, which is true. Yeah, that's all I know. I never
So
flew
does that
there.
answer your question, Jim? I'm sorry that none of us have flown in France, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what I think we're going to do. And Rick and I have been sending a message back and forth. It's pretty late, especially where I know Jake and Julie are. Here's what we're going to do. We had a couple people that have asked to join the after show, which we normally don't do. But this is, I mean, a really great group of people here. Here's what I'm going to suggest. I'm about to go ahead and post the meeting ID for Zoom and the password in the chat. And we'll go to an after show. And if you guys don't mind, we'll top it at 30 minutes tops. And that way, if anybody else has any questions they'd like to ask or join you or introduce themselves to you, they have the opportunity to do that. Is that all right with y'all? Y'all?
Yeah.
I was in Florida too much. All right. Are you ready, Rick?
Ready.
All right. Well, first of all, I guess before you do sign off, thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Very
That's
welcome.
fun. Very nice.
Thank you guys. Nice to meet and nice talking to all you guys.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you so much for joining us.
That information is now in, and now Blake Pigeon just joined. Hey, Blake, welcome to the show. And now we're going to our after show. So I just posted that. So if you want to log into Zoom, you can. And there's the meeting ID and the password.
All right. Thank you guys very much. To the next one.
Hey, Jean. I just wanted to say real quick. I met you actually and flew off your wingtip at Flying Circus. Supposed to join you guys over at Salton Sea. I was going to make a comment with how fast you get off the ground. Yeah, when you see it in person, it's pretty impressive.
Oh, it happens sometimes. Not always the case, but thank you. Thank you very much.
You bet.
All right, guys.
We're going to after show. Log in if you want to join us. Have a good night.
All right,
All right,
David.
thank you.
So I
Okay,
just
thanks.
stopped the live stream, right? I don't want to end it like I did last time.
Right. You want to hit just stop live stream.
Okay, gotcha. All right, guys. Thanks for coming along.